My title for the Delaware-Maryland Synod of the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America is Leadership Development Director. And so I've spent a little bit of time thinking about leadership and especially the development of leadership. One of the things that I'm doing in this role is interviewing individuals and groups, probably over 35 to 40 people I've talked to now. And I've asked them, what was your greatest leadership learning experience? And I've noticed that there's no one so far who's described a book or a class that they learned leadership from. More often than not, it was people who invested in them. It was situations where they learned leadership. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't learn leadership and that that's unimportant. What it's pointed out to me is that importance of walking alongside of someone to help develop them. It's the difference between leadership training and leadership development. As I've done a little bit of studying and reading on this subject, I was particularly struck by the Forbes article that you'll find in the Going Deeper section, and how the American Society of Training and Development reports that U.S. businesses spend in excess of $170 billion on leadership education, and the great majority of those funds don't produce leaders. It's leadership development. Or in another venue, I was talking about leadership with a man with a lot of military experience. He was both in the Marines and the Army, and I mentioned leadership training, and he politely corrected me and pointed me toward leadership development. Maybe it's sort of like something I learned from a mentor of mine, Bill Easom. He was my phone coach for a while. And Bill used to say, you shouldn't only have a to-do list, you should have a to-be list. And what he meant by that was a list of people that you will invest in. You'll also find that article in the Going Deeper section. I always liked that concept, but to be honest, I never liked a to-be list. What I started calling it is discipling. Discipling as spending time with people for the expressed purpose of helping them grow as a follower of Jesus Christ. As Christian leaders, that's what we should be doing. We should be discipling, investing in people. And what's great about that is if you are discipling someone, you are helping them grow as a leader. You're developing them. You can develop leadership and not necessarily discipling, but if you're discipling, that is going to help them grow as a leader. It reminded me of a long-term wonderful relationship that I had in my last congregation. I had a message one time where I preached on spiritual gifts. And one of the things I decided to do was to put all of the empty spots in my calendar for the coming 2 weeks on a legal tablet. And I left it up front, and I invited anybody who heard that message, if they wanted to explore their spiritual gifts, jot their name down on the tablet. Well, a lady who had been on my call committee, her name is Bobby Hoffman, noticed that no one was going up to the tablet. And being on my call committee, she felt bad and thought, well, I'll sign up. I'll stop in and at least make Pastor Stewart feel better. Well, she did, and we started to have discipling conversations, and wonderful things grew from that. She ultimately went on to be part of our lay visiting team. She was a nurse, so that was very easy for her. She also became one of our lay preachers. She became a volunteer spiritual gifts coordinator in the life of the church. And then one time, a family asked her to lead a funeral when I was away on vacation. These and many other experiences led her to ultimately apply for a staff position. Her title was Director of Discipling, and she's now been at that church for 15 years as a lay church professional. All she and I would both point out from discipling, from leadership development. So thinking about things that I've read and experiences that I've had, especially with Bobby, let me just list a couple of things that are part of good leadership development and discipling. A couple of main elements, not all of them, but a couple things to think on. First, invest the time. Make an appointment to spend time with someone that you think is worth investing in. Go out to coffee or lunch with them. Just spending the time, just telling them that you think they are worth investing time in, says it communicates volumes. And care about them. Care about what's going on in their life and care about investing in them as a person and as a leader and as a disciple. And give them opportunities to serve and to use what you're talking about. There's nothing worse than equipping someone with nowhere to go. I know of at least 2 lay leader training classes. They're a year or more, quite an investment. But then the folks who go through that training don't have an opportunity to use what they've been trained to do. That's just a waste. Give the person that you're discipling and doing leadership development with an opportunity to use what they have grown in, and challenge them. Challenge them to be more than they are. Challenge them to be a greater disciple. We see that all throughout the scriptures, where Jesus and other leaders challenge people to be more than they are. Well, I hope that gives you a couple of thoughts about discipling and leadership development. And you can look forward to next week's Church Leader Tool. I'm going to talk about a super simple leadership development process, a very simple way that you can start to develop leaders. Now, like a good leader, think about who you could share this with and who you can help develop.